Morning, please be seated. Morning. I love to hear. Some of my staff thought I needed a stress ball. I picked the soft one. There's soft, medium, and I guess harder. So I'm going to see how I do with this. You guys can keep an eye on me, see how I'm doing, all right? All right. I'm glad you all made it back. I appreciate that. We are back on the record with State of New Jersey versus Paul Caneiro. It's indictment number 19-02-0283. Can I have the appearances of counsel for the record?
Good morning, Assistant Prosecutor Nicole Wallace on behalf of the state.
Good morning, Judge Chris Decker, Assistant Prosecutor for the state.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Monica Mastalone, attorney on behalf of Mr. Paul Caneiro, is present.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning. Andy Murray for Mr. Caneiro.
All right. Good morning to you both. Good morning, Mr. Caneiro. All right. We're going to continue with the cross-examination. Detective, can you come back up? Detective, I want to remind you you're still under oath, okay?
Yes, Judge.
All right, thank you. Counsel, when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. All right, Detective, good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to touch on a slightly different topic to start off today. In 2018, Paul was receiving three different payment in terms of disability from three different sources, right?
Yes.
And that would have included Social Security, right?
Yes.
It would have included an insurance company called Unum,
Yes.
and it would have included an insurance company called Sun Life.
Yes.
Now, when you put your chart together to show the revenue that Paul earned in 2018, we saw that the Unum payments were the same for both years. They were the same for 2017 and 2018.
Yes.
The Sun Life payments were not the same, and they were, you showed $60,000 from Sun Life in 2017 and $9,540 in 2018.
Can I refer to my
Oh, yeah, sure.
reports for July and December, please?
Sure. Showing you S39 and S40.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, what we know in terms of Sun Life was that in 2017, Paul had received a lump sum payout from Social Security, right?
Yes.
And Sun Life ceased payments to Paul because they had compensated him more than they would have had he had been getting that Social Security the entire time, right?
Understood.
That's correct, though, right?
Correct.
Okay. So Paul didn't get a check again from Sun Life until the end of 2018.
Correct. 2 checks.
But once that offset that Sun Life took from Social Security came to an end, they began to issue checks to Paul again.
Correct.
Right? And so they did issue checks to Paul at the end of December 2018, right?
Correct.
And then in January of 2019,
There were payments in 19, but my analysis for my purposes here at this trial encompassed 2017 and 18 only.
So I'm just going to talk to you about documents that you received as part of your investigation, okay?
Okay.
Because I think you've looked at them, like you said. And those documents show that Sun Life began payment again, and they made payments to Paul in February 20th of 2019.
Objection.
So I'm going to sustain the objection as to that question, but I'm going to allow counsel to ask it differently.
All right. So, Detective, let's just go back here 1 second. What we know is that in 2018, Social Security began paying to Paul monthly payments of $2,446. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So, on an annual basis, that would be $29,352.
Which is what I have listed for 2018, yes.
And then in 2019, we know that checks from Unum continued to go to Paul in the regular amount that they always had.
We're not going into 2019. Just remember, you can ask a question relating to moving forward. Detective, let me ask you a question so that I understand.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and I want you to just answer the question that I'm asking you, nothing else. Okay. The annual amount from Sun Life Disability, let's take out the lump sum. What would it be every year? Do you know the answer to that question? Whether this case happened or not, what is the number?
I cannot tell you what it would be moving forward beyond the years of the scope of why I'm here to talk about his finances for 2017 and 18. I don't have the exact number moving forward.
Okay.
There's a lot of moving parts to it based on other disabilities that he would be getting.
Okay. But would it be more than 9,000, which is what is listed in your report? Do you know that one way or another?
I don't know that, Your Honor.
Okay. I'll see if you want to ask a follow-up to that, because now I understand. Let's see where it goes.
Okay. So what I was saying before is, you know that I understand that your review of this case was limited to the years 17 and 18.
For my purposes here at this trial, yes.
But we know very well, of course, that you received records outside of that period, both before and after.
Sun Life did provide additional payments in 2019.
And you know that those additional payments were for the amount of $7,430.
In which year?
In 2019, 2 payments were issued to Paul, 2 checks, both in the amount of $7,430.
You'll have to show me. I don't have that information in front of me.
Understood. Judge, this is D59.
Prosecutor, have you seen it?
Showing you D59.
Okay, thank you.
You can just look on the first and second pages of that.
Okay.
Tell me what it is that you're looking at.
These are checks payable to Paul Caneiro from Sun Life Insurance Company. There are checks dated, one in February and January of 19, and the other checks are all dated in 18 and in 17. Okay.
The checks in January and February of 2019 are for the same amount, right?
February is in the amount of $7,430, and the January check is in the same amount, yes.
Okay. So we have 2 checks now for $7,430. You know that Sun Life changed the benefit amount to offset for Social Security, right?
Yes,
You know that Paul was receiving over $2,400 a month in Social Security, right?
on average,
That
yes.
amounted to on average about $29,000 a year.
Correct,
On average, he was then going to be getting $7,430 a month from Sun Life, right?
correct,
And then we know over the course of a year going forward, he was going to get $104,000 from Unum.
correct.
Okay. So, and those are the disability policies that we're aware of in 2018 going into 2019, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned yesterday that much of the American Express bills that you saw, in reference, this is in reference to Paul's personal accounts. Many of the bills you saw, the American Express, the credit card bills, right, primarily go to pay for what you call personal living expenses, right?
Yes,
Obviously, you talked about Paul having some fixed costs, like a mortgage payment and insurance costs and property taxes and other taxes, right?
yes,
But a lot of what you reviewed were personal expenses that were not fixed costs, right?
sure. I obviously didn't include if they went to Starbucks and went out to lunch or to dinner, or, there's other areas that every single penny in the account is not documented.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking you if you documented every penny in the account. What I'm asking you is, when you looked at the American Express bill that was being paid out of Paul's personal account. What you said about it yesterday was that American Express bill represented charges that went largely to personal living expenses.
Yes.
Right. And personal living expenses are not fixed costs.
It doesn't have to be,
And a
but
person can, and I'm gonna move on from that. A person can reduce personal living expenses, of course. Any person is capable of doing that, right?
sure.
And a person who, obviously, when you looked at the mortgage payment of the house, did you at the time, when you were conducting this investigation, do any research or conduct any investigation into what the value of Paul's home would have been prior to November 20th of 2018?
I did not, but why would I do that?
I'm just asking if you did. I'm just asking if you knew that whether there were any renovations made to the home that increased its value, anything of that nature?
If there were renovations made to the home, then that would have been more expenses I could add on to the chart if it fell in the parameters of 2017 and 18.
So you're saying the answer to the question of were you aware of them is no?
I was not aware of it.
Got it. So basically, at $74.30 a month from Sun Life, Paul's looking at $89,160 a year from that insurance company alone, right?
Right?
And $104,000 from Unum, right?
Right.
And $29,000 from Social Security, right?
It's a significant amount of money.
With a $3,000 mortgage, right?
And also payroll that the family was receiving from the businesses.
I'm asking you, not about payroll. I'm asking you about money from insurance that Paul's getting and going forward, okay? I'm just asking you, just based on that, we know that Paul's fixed costs include a $3,000 mortgage,
Yes?
minimal, really, utility costs, right?
Utilities,
There's vehicle leases, right?
significant.
Your characterization of the large American Express bills as personal living expenses, when you looked at the account, I think you'll agree, you didn't necessarily do a breakdown of like money that was withdrawn from ATMs from Paul's 3837 account, right?
I've seen a lot of ATM withdrawals from a variety of accounts. I've seen ATM withdrawals from the business accounts to the tune of over $60,000 a year.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't the question, but I agree. We could talk about that for a second. There were over $60,000 in ATM withdrawals from Square One in 2017 and in 2018, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. You conducted interviews with people who worked at Square One as part of this investigation, right?
I did, and when
And
I
you talked to-
conducted those interviews, I may not have had all of that banking information back, number one. Number two, I may not have had the ability to analyze 5 years' worth of one company. So when we were talking to those people early on, we may not have had the information that we now know 8 years later, 7 years later, 6 years later.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but you wrote notes about it, and you wrote a note that you talked to Tiffany Rivera, right?
We did talk to
And you
Tiffany.
talked to Tiffany Rivera, and Tiffany told you that the petty cash went to Keith, not Paul.
Well, I do know that there were ATM
I want you to answer, I
withdrawals
want you to
in
answer the
Hondale,
question.
and there were
I
ATM
just want you to
withdrawals in
answer- I just
Asbury.
want you to answer the question. You talked to Tiffany Rivera, and Tiffany told you the petty cash, the over $60,000 a year that you just thought it was so significant to mention, that money went to Keith and not to Paul.
That's okay. Keith owned 90% of the company.
The answer to that question is, she told you that or she didn't?
I
Did
don't
she-
remember. You'll have to show me the report.
Okay. Who's Claudia?
Claudia is an individual who, based on my recollection, received checks to cash.
Tiffany told you that Keith, she used the ATM money so that Keith could pay Claudia in cash.
But there's also checks to cash that were, I believe, signed by her too. I don't know her role, if she was a babysitter or a house cleaner. I don't recall the role, but I do recall hearing the name Claudia.
So you don't know who she is in this case?
Not exactly. I did not speak to her, no.
Okay. All right, so this is S41. These are your notes, right?
That's my handwriting. Yes. What area do you want me
I
to
just want you to see
specifically
right
look
there.
at? I have
These-
ATM, cash.
I'm sorry.
I can give you the base number, maybe?
Well,
Judge, I'm not sure they're numbered.
Can we talk about what the document is first, please?
What do you have in your hand, Detective?
These appear to be my notes. It's dated in 2018.
Did you take notes in this case?
I did for this. This is numerous pages of notes.
And are
Do you
those
need me to
notes,
read-
listen to me, are these notes, were they used to generate reports?
I did not specifically memorialize this meeting because the detectives that were...
The question I'm asking you is, are those notes, were they used to generate reports? That's all I'm asking.
I don't recall.
Okay. So you have notes that could be separate than your reports? Is that are you saying that?
Yes.
Okay. So these notes that we're talking about now, what are they from? Are they from interviews? Are they from something else? I need to understand what they are so the jurors understand what they are.
These appear to be notes of when I participated in the interview with Tiffany Rivera.
Okay. So at least now we know what they are. So, and I assume that they're not numbered? The page numbers are not numbered?
There are bait stamps on these notes, yes.
Okay. So on the page that Mr. Murray is asking you to look at, what's the Bates number on the side? Or wherever it is.
Mr. Murray, could you go back to that page because I don't have that in front of me.
55355.
Bates ending 355, I'm sorry.
Okay. You can ask your question.
You talked, that page reflects conversation that you were party to where Tiffany Rivera, employee at Square One, talks about the petty cash at the business.
Yes.
What she says about the petty cash is that Keith took a lot.
Yes.
No mention of Paul.
Not in my notes, no.
Okay. At this point in time, when you took these notes, you were investigating Paul, right?
I was investigating the allegations and the potential motive. Those notes were taken November 26th. The murders occurred on November 20th. This was 6 days later. I don't even recall if I received bank statements back from a grand jury subpoena at that point.
Well, okay. But the point is, you thought it was important to bring up for this jury, without me asking you a question about it at all, that there was a lot of petty cash taken from the businesses, right? That's a thing that we just saw happen.
I thought it's important because I could see the locations where the cash was taken out of, and it appeared twice a week. Once was in Homedale, where Keith Caneiro lived, and the other cash withdrawal was in either Ocean Township or Asbury. They were the same amount, maxed out at $700, because that's the max ATM withdrawal anyone could take back then at a given time. I noticed.
So I'm just pointing out. I'm just pointing out that today, with the jury here, you thought it was important to put that information out there, that there were a lot of cash withdrawals from the business. I didn't ask you that question. You volunteered that on your own. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. But the truth of the matter is that that money, that cash, that you know from talking to Tiffany, was going to Keith and not Paul.
Keith took a lot. She didn't say Keith took it all.
She didn't mention Paul, did she? Did she mention Paul in that statement? Did she mention Paul in that statement? Yes or no?
I do not have Paul written down on those notes. That doesn't mean it wasn't mentioned.
Do you take good notes or bad notes when you investigate a case? Do you take good notes or bad notes?
I take notes that are good notes.
Great. I'm sure you did that this time too.
I did.
Let's sum up here. 2017, we're talking about around $33,000 that come out of the trust account into Paul's account, right?
Yes.
2018, we're talking about $44,000 or so that come out of Paul's account, or come out of the trust account into Paul's account, right?
Yes.
We know that in 2017, Paul paid almost $20,000 from his own account to the insurance company for Keith, right?
Yes.
We know that in 2018, Paul paid $27,000 from his own account and put it into the J. Martin operating account, right?
Yes.
We know that that happened after the issue in April 11th when Keith was upset about the insurance, right?
Yes.
We know that that money went from J. Martin and it went into Keith's personal account, right? We know that it didn't go
It
back.
went from J. Martin to another business account and then went into Keith's account? The 1361 account?
The money goes from. I'm just trying to recap what we learned yesterday, right? Because we went through a lot of stuff. We saw that the money we saw it go from Paul to J. Martin, and from J. Martin to Keith, right? We looked at the $10,000 and the $5,000 withdrawals, and it went to Keith's personal account.
It went from Paul to J. Martin into another business account numbered 1361, and from there it went to Keith's account.
All right, that's your recollection. That's fine.
That's what you showed me.
And then it went to an account in Greece, right?
Yep.
Okay. But not to the insurance, right?
No, it didn't
Okay.
have to
Thank
go
you.
to the insurance.
Thank you. You talked yesterday a lot about following the money and how following the money is really important, right?
Yes.
And that's something that you did throughout this case, right?
Yes.
And your involvement in this case started all the way back in November of 2018, right?
Yes, I investigated 2 different charges back then.
And it continues through to this very day.
As an expert witness testifying on a financial motive and talking about revenue streams going in an account and expenses, fixed or one-offs, leaving the account.
Here's my question to you. Did you follow the money in terms of what happened to the $3 million in the insurance policy?
Objection.
Sustained. You can.